number one show here for your Crimson Tide. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciate you guys calling in, texting in, writing in, donating in, chatting in, hitting the like button, subscribing, making this your show, network, platform, channel, and space to talk Bama. But now we're getting this conversation right here. Who's the biggest threat to the Crimson Tide and Coach Saban where this upcoming season is concerned? So many teams thrown out there, so many coaches thrown out there in this question. But who's truly the biggest threat? And after defeating Alabama last season at College Station, Texas, Kyle Field, the 12th man, by the score of 41-38, you look at Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo Fisher, the head coach of the Aggies, back again, trying to duplicate that success, trying to get that back-to-back win here over the Crimson Tide. And this time around, the matchup will be played at Bryant-Denny in Tuscaloosa. Hopefully this will be a night game between Alabama and Texas A&M. But Jimbo Fisher, he's the coach, and A&M is the team that so many people have been talking about. This is the biggest threat to Coach Saban. This is the biggest threat to Alabama. You look at what A&M has done with this NIL, right? $30 million of NIL brought them in the number one recruiting class in the country for 2022. Of course, that class is top-heavy, but number one class in the country. So a lot of people are thinking, Jimbo Fisher and A&M, this is the biggest threat here to Nick Saban and Alabama. And as we look at Saban and Jimbo together here for a moment, this game is circled on Saban's calendar. This game between Bama and A&M, this game is circled on the calendar. When A&M comes to Bryant-Denny, this is going to be an Alabama team that's going to be ready for the Aggies. Now, of course, A&M, they've got big-time players back defensively. Now, they've lost pass rushers. When you look at Jaden Peavy, DeMarvin Leal, they've lost pass rushers. Tyler Johnson as well in there. They don't have a tight end, Jalen Weidemeyer, anymore. He's now in the NFL. Devon Achane comes back. Of course, Anaya Smith is back also. They did lose Isaiah Spiller to the NFL. So, A&M's got some guys back. They've lost some guys, but the key thing here is when you beat Alabama, the national pundits out there really hype you up. It's when they beat Alabama, so clearly they're the team on the rise. Clearly they're the team on the ascent. Clearly they're going to be the biggest threat to Alabama, Coach Saban, the SEC, and the conference where college football is concerned. So everybody's looking at Texas A&M, but the chic pick is still Georgia being the threat here to Alabama, basically because Kirby Smart returns as the reigning champion of college football. Beat Alabama in the national championship game by the score of 33-18 in that matchup back in January, Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. And while so many people, and I share the sentiment of, if Jamison Williams does not go down in the football game, it's a completely different outcome. But I digress from the statement. It is for what it is. Bama took the loss. Bama took the L. Yes, it happened. But it's still the notion of Georgia being that biggest threat there to Alabama. But Georgia has to replace a ton of guys. 14 to 15 guys have to be replaced. And the majority of those guys on defense, you talk about Jordan Davis and N'Kobe Dean and Quay Walker and Trayvon Walker and, the guy last name signed in the defensive backfield. So several guys off that defense have to be replaced. And you look at Georgia, going to be young there on defense, even offensively with George Pickens gone, offensively with Zamir White gone. Yes, you do return Stetson Bennett at quarterback. Yes, you do have Brock Bowers as a tight end. But in quite a few spots, Georgia's going to be young. So the question will be for Georgia, will it get back to the SEC championship game? Because Florida's going to be better with Billy Napier in here. The other thing with Florida, will Florida really give Billy Napier time? That's the big thing there. Also, South Carolina's going to be better. Kentucky's going to be better. Tennessee, That's a sneaky team with what Josh Heupel has got going up there in Rocky Top. So you got to watch that also. So Georgia going to be young in spots, but even with it being young in spots, is Kirby Smart still looked at as the chic pick? Is Georgia the team that people say this is the biggest threat to the Tide because they're coming off a national championship? Now, the wild card in all of this could be Ole Miss, where Lane Kiffin is concerned, but we'll see what happens there. You got to replace Matt Corral at quarterback. But A&M, I feel like if you poll a lot of Alabama fans, that A&M game, Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M, that's the team where Bama Nation is saying, okay, we got to beat them. I mean, they beat us in Kyle Field last season. People are talking about A&M being the threat to Alabama. People are talking about A&M being the thorn in Alabama's side. People are really pumping up Jimbo Fisher and pumping up their top-rated, 2022 class. But all of that comes to Tuscaloosa in the fall. Coach Saban ready for this game, ready for this matchup. But not just Coach Saban, the coaching staff and the players ready for that matchup. But that's going to be a fun one to look at. It's going to be a fun one to dissect and sink our teeth into.